So the World Cup has just ended, and I think there was so much excitement till the final day. So, how many of you, very few of you here, I think, are from that era when cricket matches were heard on the radio? Show of hands? Yeah. I think you're the only one who's raised his hand. So we've heard it. So I liked cricket, but I didn't understand it much, but there was so much of excitement when the matches would happen. So I had a lot of, I had two brothers, I had a lot of cousins and male friends, and they would be glued to the transistor or the radio and they would hear it. And then after that, they would discuss, kya shot mara or kya delivery thi, as if they were there in the stadium. And this is all over, having heard a commentary. Of course, hats off to those commentators as well. So this is the power of visualizing. How you can actually create a whole world inside your own head by just the strength of the words that you hear. So I'm going to ask you people during this talk today to also visualize something. And this is something that I do by profession every day, literally, for script writing. And when we are acting, that we are always visualizing. We are always creating these stories in our own heads. So one quick question. How many of you know what they want to do in life, career goals, personal goals, are very clear about what they really want to do in life? Show of hands. Oh my God, that's very few. I'm happy, actually. So I didn't know. When I was growing up, I had no clue what I wanted to do. One day I wanted to be a dancer, another day I wanted to be a singer, then I wanted to act, then I wanted to be an artist. And finally, somehow, because I was pretty good in art, I got through this competitive exam for the College of Art. And my mother, the first thing she said to me, I even learned sitar for a little while. और थोड़े दिन के बाद अच्छा नहीं लगा तो जब गुरुजी आते थे मैं घर से भाग जाती थी. And my mother then when I got into this college she said कि बेटा सीट मत वेस्ट करना, मतलब तुम तो छोड़ दोगी थोड़े दिन में. It hurt, but I knew my track record was such that I might have. And I used to feel quite incompetent and quite a loser, because I didn't know what I want. And I'm from a generation where doctor, like Sandeep said in his, in his speech, that you were expected to be a doctor or an engineer or an MBA, and that's it. Everyone else came into the category of losers, and I was one of those, who was not in the three preferred categories. And then I realized that I was focused so much on that one goal that everyone expected me to have that I had not stopped to think, what is it that I'm good at? What makes me tick? What is my passion? What is it that I can do best? Do I even know that? Have I even explored that? So the talk today is basically about that. What ignites you? What is your passion? And how do you even discover that? So there's a parable by the Buddha, which is called the Phantom City. Okay, so the Buddha takes this group of people on this journey up a mountain, and there's supposed to be great treasures on top of the mountain. And he says, okay, come on, we'll go there and you'll get these treasures. And they all start, trekking up. And midway through, they get tired and they're exhausted, they're hungry, they're sleepy. And he says, okay, fine. And he has these superpowers, so he conjures up this thing called the Phantom City. And it's like full of luxury. There are wonderful things over there. He says, okay, you can rest here. You can refuel yourself, and, and then we'll move on. And they do that. They stop and this happens several times. Each time the Phantom City is conjured up and then they stop and then the Phantom City disappears and they carry on. After a while, every time they stop at the Phantom City, they actually realize that they are enjoying themselves. Because there are challenges they're facing in the Phantom City. There are things they're finding in the Phantom City. And the journey starts becoming really enjoyable. They're not just focused on the destination. It's the journey that is the treasure. That is what the Buddha explains to them. That the destination is also Phantom City. This journey is where you actually collect all your treasures. So don't be so focused on a goal and don't feel so disappointed if you don't have a goal, because you're still exploring. You can cross many Phantom Cities and find the treasures that you want along that way. And it's all existing deep within us. We just need to dig deep. And Then I started working in a graphic studio, and then I got interested in assisting in, advertising films, and there were some shows happening. I was living in Delhi at that time, corporate films and documentaries, and then I got a chance to go to England for a couple of years, where I worked in this production company. We were making shows for Yorkshire Television. And after a while, I realized that this was fun. With every assignment that I did, I was discovering something new about myself, a new skill, or a new way to, a new subject that really interested me, or new people who I, learned so much from. And that journey, all my peers who would become those doctors and engineers, they were becoming rich and successful and all of that. They were buying homes. And I was just exploring, but I realized I didn't feel like a loser anymore. Because in that journey, there was so much growth that was happening. And I started disagreeing with my mom here कि मैंने seat waste नहीं की थी. Everything that I learned from the time that I joined that college till all these years that I kept doing these various things, everything added to who I was and what I could do as a professional, as a human being, as a person in a relationship. All of it became like one big treasure trove, that I could keep drawing from and use it in the things that I was facing every day. So to give you an example, there are people who really, really motivate you when in your journey you meet some people. And I was very fortunate to meet the legend Amitabh Bachchan when he was, this is just before KBC happened. And Mr. Bachchan insisted that he wanted to rehearse for 1 month before he actually shot for the show. Because he said, this is not a format I've ever done. I'm an actor. I've never been a quiz master. So I would like to rehearse for a month. This was a stipulation. And so Star TV, they organized, and every evening by the dot 8 o'clock, his van would stop, and 2 hours he would rehearse. So I happened to be one of the writers in one of these rehearsals where we had to write these dummy scripts, so the dummy episodes, so he could rehearse. We also became dummy contestants sitting in front of him, not dumb, but dummy. So I was sitting across him in one of these, rehearsals, and there was one whole round that we did. And then Siddharth Basu, who was the original quiz master, if all of you, I don't think you guys would know him, but people who've been around for longer, he was the pioneer quiz master. He was producing the show. So he came to Mr. Bachchan and he started explaining something to him, whatever inputs he was giving. So you could do this, you could do that. And I was just, of course, I was so in awe of Mr. Bachchan. I was just focused on him. And I was looking at him and I saw this childlike innocence and willingness to learn. He was listening to Siddharth Basu as if it was his first day on a set. And that day I understood, I'm getting goosebumps even now, that day I understood why is he where he is. Because he's never lost that childlike enthusiasm to absorb constantly, to learn something new. And we get those opportunities every day. We sleep through them, or we ignore them, or we don't see them as opportunities. Sometimes we think, oh, it's too big a challenge, why should I do it? This is not what I really want to do in life eventually. But it's easy to say no, of course, But when we say yes to those challenges, there is such immense growth that happens. And along the way then, we find those passions, those things that we feel, oh, this is what I enjoy the most. And that is what happened with me. So eventually, after this whole journey, I landed up in Bombay. And I focused on these 2 things, which I realized that I was most passionate about, which was writing and acting. And that is what, I started doing. So, I really think that we need to, all of us, maybe let's take 10 seconds. Since they forgot to put the clock on, I have more time. So let's take 10 seconds, close your eyes, and think of that one thing that excites you most right now. Okay? Boyfriends, girlfriends don't count. Okay? Only things that you would, whatever gets you ticking. Okay? So I'm going to count down. Close your eyes. And your time starts now. Done. So, was it exciting? Did you find something exciting in what you would want to do? Are you willing to give that a shot? Are you willing to try that on and see, let me see where this takes me? This is the journey of the Phantom City. That be open to whatever is coming your way. Because if we don't take action, then all these dreams which we visualize when we closed our eyes are just going to be la la land. They're not really going to become anything, right? So once you take action, then you need to completely immerse yourself in that. Then you need to really dive deep and find everything about it. Post that, whether you go ahead with it or don't go ahead with it, that's your choice. Yeah? So I hope when you go from here today, you would all be willing to give it a shot, this one thing that came to your head. So the two things, like I said, what excited me were writing and acting. And just because I am from this field, I'm sure a little bit of insight, if I can give you, it may help you, if there are any of you who are interested in exploring these things. So both these, art forms are about creating. So script writing is really like absorbing. You're constantly observing and absorbing people around you, things that happen around you. A lot of my friends tell me, "Arey, tumne hame dal diya tha us character mein." So I, of course, say, no, it must have happened unconsciously. Sometimes it's conscious, but that's my fodder. So that is what script writing is about. So actually, you're always writing. When you're a writer, you're constantly writing. It's not about just writing when you put pen to paper. It's always going on in your head. And acting, on the other hand, is like have any one of you done scuba diving? Yeah? Yeah. So it's like when you dive deep and you're cut off from all reality and you're in this other world completely and you're discovering things and you're trying to find your, way around it. You're seeing these amazing things which are not really you, which are not part of your experience so far. And every sea that you dive into actually is different. And that is acting. It's the performance is like finding that in a character each time. You dive deep, and then you discover these treasures, and then you try to make them your own, and then you come out, and that experience is what you convey to others, which is when you perform. So there is so much there to learn in anything that you pick. For me, even today, I'm learning. If I've had these talks that we heard before mine, there's so much I've taken back from this. So really, really give your all to whatever you choose to do. And it's okay if 2 months down the line or 2 years down the line, you decide to do something else. That's fine. Give your all to that. Right? I found what I'm doing right now in my mid-30s. And I'm okay, I haven't done too badly. And I'm enjoying myself even now. I still wake up every morning very excited. And I've seen there are so many people. I'll give you one more example. We were shooting for the film Dil Dhadakne Do, and we were on this cruise ship for 5 weeks. We were there, and the entire crew and the cast was there. It was literally like, you've been jailed, and then that thing is just moving around everywhere. No one can get out. So you tend to, interact with each other a lot more. You also learn from each other a lot more. And Anil Kapoor, sir, was probably in age the oldest member of that group, but in his spirit and his attitude, he was the youngest. That man used to be, like we would be lazing around the day we didn't have a shoot, or when we, packed up and chalo jaake deck pe baiठते हैं and whatever, and he would be gymming, and we were shooting for this very, very long pre-climax scene, and we had to run. If people have seen the film, then you would know where everybody runs towards, where the boat is going down, and he was right in front of the entire group. And of course, there were a million shots that were taken. We were shooting for it almost over 5-6 days, if I remember correctly. Before every shot, he would ask, okay, ye kahan, ye iske baad ka hai, kiske pehle ka hai? How much should I be panting? How breathless should I be? He would do push-ups right there and then so that he could deliver that exact amount of exhaustion that was required for that shot. So that kind of detail to attention, that is what creates magic. That's what takes something that you do from ordinary to extraordinary. So you might think that this is contradictory, that on the one hand I'm telling you explore, on the other hand I'm saying that go deep. I'm saying go deep into everything that you explore. Do complete justice to it, and then decide whether you want to still stick to it, move on, then do complete justice to the next thing that you're doing. Because I feel that's the only way to navigate through this life, and that's the only way to feel joy in everything that we are doing. Otherwise, a job becomes a job, no matter what we are doing. For some days, even now, in fact, because I write for television and there's always delivery happening, and early morning one scene comes and I'm supposed to write dialogue and send it, they're shooting it, and there's madness. And at times I feel, chodo yaar, what am I doing? This is like becoming more like a punishment. But then, when you watch that on screen, or when you're just reading it again, you feel, no, I think that's nice, that's good. I created something good. Sometimes you go back to something that you've done, like I'd written Jassi. Even now, when I tell people about Jassi Koi Nahi, they say, oh yeah, that one we definitely saw. It feels so good that you were part of something which leaves an impact, So all of us can be part of that. See, I'm talking from the media point of view, and maybe there is a exposure and visibility attached to it. But for each one of us, whatever we are doing, it has its own parameters of success. So we can all be successful. Conventional success is not what I'm talking about. Successful in everything that we do. So, like at this moment of time, I'm committed to, like she introduced, Screenwriters Association. I'm at a stage where I'm trying to give back to what I've received all these years, and fight for writers' rights. And we are fighting for better wages and better contracts, and trying to get writers to get their credit, get their money, get their due. So sometimes their names don't come on the posters or are not mentioned in publicity. So all these things we are fighting for. And for me, that is something that I'm committed to now. So it's like at this stage, I feel like this is the most valuable thing that I can do with my life, to give back to what has given me so much. So to end, I would like to recap everything that we've talked about, exploring, always learning, visualizing, and then creating what we have visualized. If we can do that, I can promise you, no matter where your lives go, what your career paths are, you will have a fun journey. So like my mentor, who's a Buddhist philosopher who just passed away last week, actually, Daisa Koikeda, he said in one of his, in one of his essays, he said, on the last day of my life, I want to look back and say, what a wonderful journey. Where should I go next? So I think let's all really create those journeys of no regret, and look back and say, wow, what a wonderful life. So thank you.